Okay, welcome to Lab 8, Part 1. We're going to be looking at muscles in the cat. And first, you're going to have to go through some of the exterior parts or structures. Some of them, like the pinnae, you will have to completely remove when you do the skinning. A couple techniques that will help is how you handle the scapula. So for your initial incision, it does help to have your index finger on the side and the blade facing down to do the initial incision. But after that, you will want to reverse it because you want to do small strokes upwards so that you don't get the muscle. So as you can see, my cat has been skinned so that the skin afterwards can fold back over it and keep it moist. It loses a lot of water and eventually it will become really dry. So that being said, it will take you an hour to skin the cat on one side if you're careful. Okay, so going on, I have skinned my cat. I have identified the muscles and I will go through them. Let's go through them here. Okay, so anterior and above, okay, or next to the ear. So there is the eye, okay, palabre. Okay, here we have our temporalis muscle, okay, followed by the ear, the pinna I cut off, okay. Now we have our sternomastoid muscle, which actually, let me see if I can go ahead and move this a little bit. Okay, I don't know if the camera will get it very well, but it goes sort of behind. So it will go from the mastoid process on the cranium, okay, on the temporal bone, all the way through, okay, to the sternum, okay, all the way down. Then we have followed by, okay, our cleidotrapezius, which is here, okay, and it is sort of a triangle, but the trapezius in the cat is pretty large. It stems from here to there. So we have our cleidotrapezius, our acromiotrapezius. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, our acromiotrapezius and our spinotrapezius. Okay, what else do we have? We also have, okay, the lower portion of the temporalis, which is at the masseter. The masseter muscle is very strong. Yes, there's cat hair. The jaw muscle that open and closes the mouth. We also have our clavobrachialis right here in front. Okay, here would be the head of the shoulder. Okay, followed by we have our tricep. Okay, lift up the arm and have it here. Okay, followed by, if I move the tray a little bit, you can see, and I probably will just go this way, the latissimus dorsi. The latissimus dorsi is a large muscle, okay? It really does look like a wing over the back of the cat, okay? Now, if we continue on laterally, we see the external obliques, okay? And, okay, we go into the gluteus. This pin right here has the gluteus medius followed by the superficialis, okay? We also have our semitendinosus at the very rear. So this is where the tail is. It's really the last muscle, okay, at the very edge. And you can see it, you could probably isolate it really well. Okay, followed by our bicep femoris, which is very big in the cat. And then this one that is cut, okay, is our sartorius. It actually, I had to cut it in order to get it, the skin off. So it did get cut. I mean, you still can see part of it here, okay? And then the one that's right next to it is your tensor fasciae latae, okay? And it's a pretty big hip flexor, okay? And so that is pretty much the muscles on the lateral side. And now what I'll do is I'll flip it lateral dorsal side. And now I'll flip it uh, on the ventral. I'll flip it to the ventral side. Okay, continuing on, we are now, as you can see, with the ventral side up. Okay, actually, this would be supine. Okay, so going from the cranial end to the posterior end, okay, we can see our sternohyoid, which is right here in the middle. It is not a very big muscle. It's pretty much like a ribbon. And right next to it is another ribbon type muscle, but it's actually coming from the mastoid. So it's the sternomastoid coming up from in here, sternomastoid. Okay, and then we have following that, we have the muscle that is really right between the two arms, and that is our pectoantiobrachialis. And it's not, I mean, you can see the definition, the defined line, but it's definitely would take some work to separate. And then right below it, you can see the division. You have your pectoralis major. So all of this, if you can see, all of this, it stems from right below the pectoanterobrachialis. All of this is pectoralis major, up into the very edge part where it looks like just the flap again, and that is your pectoralis minor. And follow the pectoralis minor, we have another V shape, which is your xiphi humerus. And it really isn't a distinctive muscle, but it has the pattern, okay? Then we continue on, and I have to flip them because it doesn't fit. Okay, here's our external oblique. Okay, and then we go down, all the way down to the femur area, and separating the legs on the inside. Okay, we medially, we have the first muscle inside, and this muscle is the gracialis. It's a big muscle. Okay, possibly. And then this one is our sartorius, the one we talked about before. Okay, looking at it from the dorsal view as the sartorius. And that is it for muscles. The digastric we'll look at when we open up respiratory. Okay, continuing on. So now that we're done with muscle, we're going to go into the respiratory system, basically the thoracic cavity, starting with basically, as you know, the nasal cavity, the tongue, the back of the tongue, we come to the esophagus and to the larynx. So this right here is the larynx, right in here. Okay, I've made a vertical, mid-vertical cut, incision, okay, to open up the larynx, to expose. Okay, we can see in there that there are some folds, vocal folds, and there's also an opening, which is the epiglottis. And let me see if I can open it up a little bit more and see if you guys can see it. Okay, it is right in there. It's just a little bit hard to see, but there it is. Okay, and then following that, you've got your trachea, which is right here. It's all in white. Okay, you can see the cartilage, but it's easier to actually see. Okay, so there's the cartilage. Now the next part says to open up the thoracic cavity. To do that, you have to cut through ribs, starting from the diaphragm. You want to look for that xiphi humerus muscle, and from there make an incision. And my hand is out. Okay, so find the xiphi humerus muscle, which was right here. Okay, and then just work your way laterally. Okay, make a transverse section at right before the diaphragm, and then up above. Like I said, you do have to cut. You're going to have to cut through ribs, and that is a bit of a challenge. Again, if you don't want to damage the lungs and you don't want to damage the heart, you want to continuously lift up. Let your finger, okay, guide you, okay, when you're doing this. But anyway, so now we have it, and we can see quite a few arteries, which we'll get to in a little bit. But so right now I want to just want to show you, okay, that obviously that the cat has two lobes, the right and the left. The left has 3 lobes, the right has 2. They're a little bit stuck underneath there. Let's see if you can see both lobes. So this brown thing right here is actually the diaphragm, okay? And there is a big nerve that innervates the diaphragm called the phrenic nerve. And I did not see it, so I may have cut through it. You might be fortunate enough to see it. It is, it looks like a big passageway, like a big, I want to say a big tube, okay? But anyway, so I pulled it up that way. So now a couple more things to look at. We do have the pericardium, okay, is the sac that is holding the heart. Okay, so we could definitely see that. The pleura, I'm pretty certain that I got rid of that one. Okay, but the pericardium is in the mediastinum space, which is the space between the two lungs. Okay, and I'm not going to open up the heart today. I'll probably open it up possibly tomorrow. Okay, I'm not really certain how I want to go about doing this, but I would like to continue on. Okay, so let me go ahead and open it up a little bit more. Okay, so moving on to some of the main arteries that go through the heart or veins. I've had to remove part of the right lung, which has the 3 lobes, superior, middle, and lower, inferior. So when I did that, I also did have to break off, this is the pulmonary vein. So there's 2 veins that go into the atrium, the right atrium, and there's one, okay? And there's the other one. Okay, so we see that. We also see the pulmonary trunk, which is right here. And behind the pulmonary trunk is actually the aorta. Let's see if I can push it out of the way so that we can see it. I believe there it is. Okay, so there we have the aorta. And, okay, there, well, there. Okay, now from the aorta, you've got a couple branches. One of them is the brachiocephalic, the other one is the subclavian, and then the other one is the carotid. And the carotid goes straight to the head. And if we go back to our position here, you can actually see it. Okay, you can see it slightly tinged, but that is your carotid artery that goes up to the head. Okay, and there it is. My hand is in the way, so here it is. Nope, that's not going to happen. There it is. Okay. Anyway, so we've got the left atrium, the right atrium, the ventricles. And the rest of it's a little bit mushy. Maybe on another specimen, it might be a little bit easier to see. But for now, that's what we'll do with the thoracic cavity. And we'll put it back. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open the abdominal cavity. Oh no, I'll leave it for tomorrow. What time is it? 7, no. We will go ahead and close them and see what happens. So we'll leave it right now. This is what I wanted to get done for the first day anyways. So we'll go ahead and end the session and we'll start up again tomorrow.